Hello and welcome back, adventurers. Get comfy as we start our investigation into Darkon, the kingdom of whispers and intrigue, where much is implied, but little is seen. Darkon stretches across the northern core from the Sea of Sorrows to the Nocturnal Sea, radiating from the gently sloping Wichita River valley. Since the Great Upheaval, Darkon borders have also encompassed the former lands of Iraq to the south. But before I discuss Darkon's natural vistas, I must address its supernatural landscape. Darkon was born from death and magic, and its ties have never strayed far. Eldritch powers flow through Darkon planar fabric. While mortal spellcasters tap these unseen forces, at times Darkon's energies manifest independently, in the form of eerie phenomenon. Fortunately, Darkon's most common phenomena are also its least dangerous. All Darkonians know of grave lights, dim phosphorescence that hangs just above the ground where bodies are interred. Most commonly witnessed in Darkon's expansive cemeteries, grave lights also glow atop hills and fields, most notably along Falconian border. Somewhat more disturbing are scatterbrae, or wellsprings. These small areas manifest odd arcane properties. Scatterbrae most commonly appear in one or two forms. Sounds become muted in a wellspring of silence, or while folk who stray into a wellspring of terror seem flooded with a baseless sensation of fear. Fortunately, scatterbrae manifest only in remote areas and dissipate within hours. Yet Darkon's most notorious unnatural feature is its inconsistent moon. Regardless of its phase, the moon is never visible over Darkon skies on the night of the winter solstice. Darkonians mark the time as the darkest night, a fearful holiday when the Grey Realm, Darkonian perception of afterlife, presses close to the living world. Darkon encompasses numerous ecological niches, and Darkonians informally divide the kingdom into 6 general regions, based on local culture and terrain. The Wichita River originates in a region known as Mistlands. Darkon's misty border continuously shifts and curls, drifting miles inland and then receding in an instant. These hills are home to Darkon Elven society, including settlements of Nebulus and Neverchar Springs. Some folk claim that ruined towers of vaguely elven design can be dimly seen when the mist border recedes to its fullest, but no one who ventured there ever returned. As the Wichita leaves the Mistlands, it enters the upper Wichita River Valley, now better known as the Vale of Tears. Occupying the eastern heartland, the broad Shadow Valley is heavily settled, filled with orchards and grain fields. Since the Requiem, undead predators have crawled upriver from necropolis to turn the valley into their hunting grounds. Although larger communities remain relatively safe, many lone homesteads stand abandoned or razed. Most of the rural population has retreated behind wooden palisades, turning their villages into overcrowded, paranoid, fortified encampments. South of the Vale of Tears, Darkon quickly climbs into the treacherous Mountains of Misery. Forming the northern end of Balanok Mountain, the region's horizon is defined by tortured rock formations and the towering volcanic cones of Mount Nirka and Mount Need. This region stays almost entirely uninhabited except for the Warren settlements to the north. South of Mount Nirka, one enters the former lands of Iraq. In 588 Raven calendar, a sandstorm of legendary ferocity eradicated all surface life here. Today, the region is still a blasted, rocky wasteland filled with bandits and kobolds. Within the past decade, however, a handful of daring settlements from the Temple Falls has moved into the region to reopen the ancient mines of Iraq. The region's most notorious resident is unquestionably the Dragon Ebb. She once served as Aslan's personal mount, but she relocated to Mount Need in the wake of the Requiem. Like the dragons of lore, she's a hateful and reclusive creature. Many mining camps leave tribute of gems, gold, and oxen to keep her appeased. As the Wichita passes out of the Vale of Tears, it flows into a broad, low-lying basin called Boglands, a southern marsh formed among countless lakes. The wave of negative energies that expanded out of the slain city in the Requiem struck the Boglands almost full force. Everything in the Boglands have withered and died, leaving only black trunks of dead trees, skeletons of animals, and undrinkable, salty water. Conversely, the positive energy around Stagnus Lake seems to have redoubled, and the western Boglands now crawl with unnatural life. Misshapen animals have appeared, mixing traits with other species, and the folk of the nearby village have collected an increasing amount of mandragora, stunted plants that grow into the animal-like or humanoid shapes. Once past the Boglands, the Wichita passes through the slain city before gradually curving south into the neighboring Falkovnia. This general curve encompasses the expansive, lush woodlands known as the Forest of Shadows. The interior of the Forest of Shadows holds only a handful of remote cabins and logging villages. Near the Falkovnian border, Aslan Rex has also established a number of knightly estates granted to the champions of the state. Of course, when Dracov invades, these manors serve as Darkon's first line of defense, and Castle Avernus, the monolithic seat of Aslan Rex's power, sits in the forest as well. Among all the folklore surrounding this place, the bandit leader Galf Cloggin seems to be the more tangible threat. Depicted on wanted posters as a thin, scabrous halfling, Cloggin and his gang have engaged into highway robbery through the region for a decade, but gained their current notoriety for a raid made on the abandoned Avernus shortly before Aslan's return. The bandits suffered heavy casualties, but supposedly escaped with numerous arcane treasures in their possession. Lastly, we come to the Jagged Coast, a windswept region to the northwest. It takes its name from a geological menace that actually stretches inland for dozens of miles. The continual pounding of waves and tides have slowly honeycombed the porous bedrock with fissures and floated caverns they establish in the region. Splinters of stone often break away from the seaside cliffs, and further inland, sinkholes may suddenly yawn open, swallowing helpless folk or collapsing buildings. Recognizing the need for the new trade routes to bypass the choke-point of Necropolis, Aslan Rex has decreed the construction of new roads. The Transumbra Road will cut through the southern Forest of Shadows, connecting Maywing to a waypoint on the King's Highway called Kriana. It was once a thriving village, but was abandoned in 580 Barovian calendar, following the senseless rampage of a scythe-wielding demon called the Whistling Fiend, sought up for the tuneless music it made as it gleefully roamed the streets, killing all in its path. The creature vanished as inexplicably as it appeared, and for the next 17 decades, Kriana remained a ghost town. Darkon's flora is vast and varied from region to region, but two plants bear closer examination. Algae that infests Stagnus Lake is so powerfully imbued with a positive energy that scholars dubbed it Spuma Vitae. Consuming it temporarily enhancing the creature's metabolism, significantly hastening the healing process and slowing down visible signs of aging. Still, the algae is not entirely beneficial. Should the creature's natural defenses be significantly weakened, the algae can overpower its metabolism to disastrous results. No less intriguing, the Somnus plant grows only in shallow, stagnant pools along Darkon's rivers. Somnus sprouts up in black, woody stalks, culminating in the delicate, drooping branches that produce numerous tiny jade-green berries in the spring and summer. Somnus berries have an enticingly rich, sweet odor and taste, but they are highly narcotic. Imbibers experience a tingling sensation in the mouth, followed by a blackout, during which appetites are enhanced while guilt and fear are dulled. All manner of ghouls and ghosts stalk Darkon's graveyards, and Aslan himself is legendary for his necromantic prowess. At Aslan's bidding, mobs of shambling corpses rise from their graves to patrol the borders and the empty places, ever watchful for foes of the state. These walking dead are known as the eyes and ears of Aslan, for he can see and hear through their decaying senses. Thank you so much for your time, patient listeners. Darkon is an intriguing place with a Dark Lord who despises his prison like no other. So if your destination is Darkon, be extra careful while crossing the mists.